the
Yes, I'm
recording.
sorry.
And I'm going to just post the questions too. And the questions are in the chat. So any questions, comments from the last session? How was your empathy buddy call? Any short reports from facilitating an empathy circle this last week? Yep, take it away.
Okay, start with Cara. And you're muted.
I have a toddler who's decided to throw a fit for just a second. We're almost done. Hold on. Okay. Hi, I'm Kara Jean from the Pacific Northwest. I don't have any questions, but my empathy buddy call was fantastic. Hi, Linda.
Great. Dorothy?
We're pretty good right now. There's one person.
And hold on, excuse me, somebody, if you would just mute. If you could mute. Thank you. Dorothy?
So I'm doing great. I'm looking forward to diving into the practice a little bit more today. And I had a great buddy call, and I facilitated 2 circles at home with my family, and it was great.
Great. All right. Mitch? Muted. You're unmuted.
There we go.
Okay.
Good morning, everybody, or good afternoon, whichever the case. I also had a very good buddy call. Some phone dropouts, but other than that, it went fine. And I don't have any other comments.
All right. Hannah?
Hey, my buddy call was also really, really nice. I facilitated 1 circle and I really enjoyed that. So looking forward to diving in deeper as well.
Great. Ruth, you can unmute and check in.
Yeah, hello. Yeah, the call went well with the buddy. We did have some Zoom connection issues, but I think we managed to speak to each other. Yeah, connect a bit. And I didn't do the circle. I just did a one-to-one empathetic listening with a friend. Yeah, just noticed how helpful it was. It was really clarifying what we were both saying.
Great. Aaron?
Hi, everyone. I didn't actually have my buddy call this week. My fault. I hadn't reached out. But I did do empathic listening with one of my friends. Didn't manage to do a call, a whole circle. And I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Great. Linda? Yeah.
Hi, everybody. I had a really wonderful buddy call with Cara, my empathy buddy for this week. And I reviewed some of the information online, but I didn't actually host a circle. So I'm just excited to learn more today.
Great. Glad you're here. Arlene?
Hi, everybody. Glad to be here. I, as well, did not have contact with my buddy for our buddy call, but I'm very happy to be here today and to participate, and I thank you very much.
Okay, Elizabeth?
Hi, I had an excellent buddy call with Johnny, who I don't see here today, but it was very rewarding. I only was able to do a half an hour of the training with one person. I couldn't find anybody who had an hour to talk or who wanted to talk for an hour. So I'm sorry, I'm having trouble with my mouth, so I'm going to be talking very strangely, but yeah, that's good. Thank you.
All right. Altonia? You can, yeah.
What's the question?
Just a 30-second check-in. How was your buddy call? Any questions from last week?
Oh, no, I don't have any questions. I reached out to the person I supposed to have a buddy call with, but they didn't reach back out to me. So,
okay.
That's good luck this week.
Okay, is that Mally? You're unmuted. I mean, you're muted.
I'm sorry, I think I didn't sign up for the course. I just joined in. So I think perhaps if I leave, because I think couldn't commit at this point to the course. So I'm apologies, and I'm just gonna leave you to it. I'm sorry.
Okay. So you've been to the cafe?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Sorry.
Okay.
Come back.
Bye, Mally.
Swan?
Hello, everyone. I had a buddy call with Princess, and she's from Nigeria, so that was really interesting to get to talk to somebody from Nigeria. She has a 6-hour time difference or something, but we were able to connect up, and we were able to connect up really fast, and so that was really great with the coordination. And yeah, so then we talked for a time, and then yeah, so that's all I had to report from the call, and I guess I don't have any questions at this point.
Thank you, Swan. Trevor? Are you there? Yes. You went away.
Yes, I am. My name is Trevor. I am a doctoral student, and I'm doing some research on the Empathy Circle, and Edwin was kind enough to allow myself and a couple of folks to come join to learn how to facilitate the circle really well. So thank you.
Great.
Good to be here.
Great. Claire?
Hello, everybody. Yeah, I had a buddy call with Dorothy, and that went really well. I also did a small empathy circle with another 3 people, and that went well too. They really loved it.
Great. And is it Marion?
Yes, thank you. Hi, everyone. I did have my buddy call, but it's my buddy, so actually we call each other like very often, like once a week. So it started like a usual conversation until that moment where I remembered we were supposed to have our buddy call together. So I could really feel the difference when I'm really focusing and concentrating, because at the first part of the conversation I was like giving advice, I was like relating to my own experience and being friendly, and on the second part I tried to not to speak so much, and yeah, I was more in the moment. And we actually thought that we do that each other. We met through the empathy circles in France, so actually we are very sensitive to that. But yeah, the exercise was very funny, like starting with a normal conversation and then switching to a more deeper understanding.
Listening, yeah.
Thank you. No more questions.
All right, Catherine.
Hello, everyone. Let's see. I missed my buddy call, so Altania, I'm sorry, and I responded to your email, so we're going to set that up. Again, I did do a family and friends call and then a one-on-one, and I did the friend circle with Empathy Circle with 2 friends who also practice a lot of positive psychology coaching, things like that. And it's interesting how the training is somewhat parallel, but not. And we had to untrain ourselves. I think all 3 of us are compulsively empathic in other ways of our lives. But what's so great about the neutrality of empathy circles is it enables you to kind of set up more appropriate boundaries and so forth. So we were all finding that a challenge, and in the end, it was extremely helpful for me especially, and for them. And I've been trying to get them to come to this, so I'm sure they'll join one in the future. And then I did a one-on-one with my sister because I thought that relationship could benefit a lot from learning a different way to communicate in the empathy. And so it was definitely it was a wonderful experience.
Great.
So
Great. And last but definitely not least, Faith.
Hi everyone. Yes, I didn't do my buddy. I didn't connect with my buddy. I do that next time. But I did do an empathy circle with a group of parents. I do a Wednesday night parenting group, and I did that with them, and it was very, very helpful and very eye-opening for them as parents. Practicing that, and the one-on-one I did with my son, and that was also very helpful in terms of our communication. So thank you so much.
Very good. Very good. Do we have time, Edwin, to? Okay.
I think we
Well,
did some of the trainees. Yeah.
trainees, yeah. Let's start with
Can
Ralph.
can I interrupt, please?
Yes, Anne, I'm
Tracy?
sorry. Did I miss you? I'm
You
sorry.
missed me, yeah. So I'd just like to introduce myself.
Yes.
Okay, then, yes. So unfortunately, my buddy and I did connect, but, well, communicated, but we didn't manage to connect up because I think of the time difference, it was a bit confusing. I'm in Australia. I think they were in America. Feeling great today. And I did do my one-on-one empathy. Managed 45 minutes. It was somebody who lived in my community, and I was really passionate about what they were saying, and I couldn't hold back. It was like I had to give my point of view on what was going on. So I realized that wasn't the exercise, but acknowledge that's what happened. Thank you.
Tracy, that's Tracy, right?
And no questions. Yeah. Thanks.
Okay, Anne?
Oh, there's like some others too. I think
Isa
Jeremy. who has-
and Karen haven't been, I think.
Okay, well, you go, Anne. Have you went yet?
No, but Isa and Karen haven't been yet.
and Jeremy.
Okay. Well, do you want to go now or you want to wait?
Yes, I'm okay. I'll wait.
Karen.
Yes, hello everybody. Yes, we had our buddy call, but that was interesting because we used to work together, so that really helps to be more creative in a way, and particularly because Marion has to organize an empathy circle for the debrief of the local groups assembly in France. So that's us.
Great. Okay, have I missed anybody?
Isa?
Yeah. I don't see him.
She's here.
You may not see if they don't have video, you might not
There
be
she
able to
is.
see them on your cell
There
phone if
she
you're
is.
on a cell phone.
Okay. Oh,
yes.
No, I don't.
Yes.
see it.
Yes.
Go ahead. Yes.
Okay. Okay. So I did not get to do to hold the empathy circle. I did an empathy practice with someone approximately 45 minutes to 1 hour. It was very deep, and I had a very good time. Very transformative. Really listening, just listening.
Great.
And yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Valerie?
Hi there.
Hello.
Hi. So I didn't get the opportunity to do the 1 hour or the facilitation. I was really looking forward to it, but for scheduling reasons, it just didn't happen. But I'm still going to try to complete that because I think it would be a really wonderful exercise to just sit and listen to someone for an hour. I'm really looking forward to that, to just not responding and not saying anything. I think that would just be such a blessed experience in my life. Yeah. Oh yeah, sorry. I did do the buddy call And that was really fun. Is I didn't have anything to say, and then I started talking, and I think I'm just not used to having someone just listen, and so I hold back. But it was a really nice exercise to just do the buddy call. So thank you.
All right, Jeremy.
Thank you.
There he is. Okay.
Yeah, I had a really great empathy buddy call with Anne from England. It was cool for us to work out our time differences to make that happen. And I didn't have like that high of an expectation about it for some reason going into it, maybe because I had a busy week, but it was really nice to just take some time to kind of connect with her. And we related on all sorts of different things that I could not have even expected. So that was great. I wasn't able to do an empathy circle, but I was able to kind of meet with a bunch of people in my community who I'm planning on doing empathy circles with around like environmental issues. So that was kind of productive. And they were really excited. So maybe they'll end up in this training. I don't have any other questions or comments.
Okay. Alexandra?
Hi everyone, my name is Alexandra, go by Alex. I'm actually new to this cohort, so I was unable to participate in buddy calls, but I'm definitely looking forward to participating in them.
Okay. And Andrea?
Hi, I'm Andrea, and I'm actually learning to listen. I listen to everyone then, and I wasn't worried about what I was going to say.
All right. Ruth? I think I saw Ruth.
Yeah.
Everybody keeps moving, so I'm trying to keep up with Ruth. Yeah.
I've been, thank you. I've already been. Thanks.
Okay. All right. Did I miss anyone?
I've been.
Okay, Anne.
Good to be back. Good to see everybody's faces. Had a great buddy call with Jeremy, as he mentioned. Yep, that's me. Thank you.
So we'll skip the trainers and the trainees and go directly to the feedback. We only have 10 minutes left.
Okay.
So thanks. So that's Lou. and
Okay,
Bill.
so Bill and I are going to do feedback. I just want to say hi to everybody and say I'm so excited to be here and so encouraged by hearing the reports of the activities that you've been doing and the impacts that they've been having. So appreciate all that sharing. These are Bill and I are going to alternate taking turns answering questions that people posted in the feedback form. So the first thing was there was a question about confidence. You know, how can I build confidence as an empathy circle facilitator? Will I ever feel confident? And what I'd say about that is, you know, learning to be a facilitator is a lot like driving a car. When you first start to drive a car, there's a million things to pay attention to: the road, the speedometer, the mirrors, everything. And the same thing with empathy circle facilitation. You know, the timer, the process, who's spoken, whose turn is it, what are they doing, am I listening, you know, is the person reflecting back? So it feels overwhelming at first, but the more you do it, the more you will build confidence in it. And you don't have to be perfect. It's fine to make mistakes. And one of the ways to lower that fear of making mistakes is to make everyone aware of the process. So like, you're not the only one that knows how it works, but maybe hand the sheet out of how it works to everyone, so everyone can participate in holding the process, and you don't have to feel like, you know, you have to be perfect and nobody else knows how it's supposed to go. The next question was about how to prepare. Are there ways to prepare emotionally and mentally for doing a circle? So Bill, do you want to talk about that?
Sure. I would suggest that you do anything that helps center you: meditation, exercise, enjoying like a really nice breakfast or lunch, you know, anything. 99% of the circles will be just fine. And so you can rely on the process. And I think that Lou talked about, as you become, you know, have more practice, that'll become second nature. So do whatever whatever feels like home to you. That's what I would say. Thanks.
Yeah, and so the next question, actually the next two questions were about responding to problems. So people having concerns about, as a facilitator, how do I respond if there's a problem in the circle, somebody's not doing the process, or how do I correct someone if they're not doing the process? How do I correct them without hurting their feelings? And I would say that responding to those things is something that you will learn how to do with experience and watching other people do it. And it is something that we will explicitly practice in the training. So next week's session and the session after that, part of the session is, if you feel ready for it, for the trainers to provide some kind of typical problems that happen in a circle so that you can have a chance to respond to them and learn how to do that. And I would say, Bill, maybe do you want to speak to how to correct someone without hurting their feelings?
Well, I would just, in special ed, we try not to get recall in a power struggle. And so it's not you asserting your authority over them. It's just you as a facilitator try to keep people in the process. So it's just say, I'm just doing this to keep you in the process. It's not a criticism. Sometimes I do this in the front end. It's not a criticism of you or your ideas. You just want to stay in the process to give you that experience. It's different. That's it.
Yeah, and a couple things I'll add to that. One is that something I like to do as a facilitator is let people know what I will be doing as a facilitator, as part of my introduction. So I might say, if somebody's having trouble reflecting back, I might assist. Or if somebody forgets to pause, like they're talking and they forget to pause so the reflector can reflect back, I might interrupt you and say, could you pause there so the reflector can. And so telling people what I might do, then when I'm doing it, it's not so shocking. And it also makes me feel more comfortable doing it because I've said that's something I'm going to do. And the other tip I would give is inviting people into what you want them to do. So rather than telling them, no, don't do that, you're not supposed to do that, or you're not, don't do that, invite them into what you would like them to do. So, if they're talking, keep continuing to talk. You say, could you please pause? Or if when they're reflecting, let's say they're giving advice, instead of reflecting back what the person's saying, say, you're giving advice. Your role really is to just reflect back what you heard the person say. Could you do that? Can you reflect back what you heard the person say? So those are my advice around that. Let's see. Okay, the next, someone had a question about what if I have trouble remembering what everything that speaker's saying. So Bill, you want to answer that question?
Well, as Lou said before, we're not looking for perfection here. If you have trouble remembering, some people will take notes. Some people will ask you. It's totally okay for the active listener to ask the speaker to pause. And sometimes, there were 3 points and you only got 2, and you say, I think I missed something. Just be open and honest about your process. We're here to support each other. That's it.
Right. And the last question was about technical issues. How do I support participants that are having technical issues? So that can be really disruptive. You're trying to run a circle and somebody is dropping in and out, or they're having trouble with their audio. And one thing is, you can ask, if someone's having trouble with their audio, you can ask them to turn their camera off, or you can ask everyone in the circle to turn their cameras off when that person is speaking, because that lowers the bandwidth that's needed on the internet. I've also had a circle once where the person was in a country and where they had a very poor internet connection, and they just typed in the chat. That was the way that they had enough bandwidth they could at least type in the chat. And so when it was their turn to speak, they typed in the chat and we read that, and then somebody reflected it, and that's how it went. So you got to be flexible and just do your best to deal with technical problems like that. Bill, do you have anything to add to that?
Not on that particular thing. There's one other issue that I might address briefly.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So one of the things that people said that they would think it should be shorter. It's hard. We try to make this fit as much in, I think, as you go through the process, you'll see. And then kind of along with that is breaks. Sometimes we do breaks, sometimes we don't. I'm generally like, have so many balls in the air, I can forget. But if you need a break, please feel free to let us know and we'll deal with it. Usually we take, in the feedback, it was a 10-minute break. That's a bit long considering all that we have to get through. Usually we take about a 3-minute break. But if you need a 10-minute break for something, no salesman will come to your door.
Okay, that's feedback.
Okay. Okay, now we're going to do the description.
Who's got
going
that
into the
piece?
breakdown?
Ralph.
Yes. Going into, well, we're going to have some breakout rooms now where you're going to have a chance to practice facilitating an empathy circle. And the context to set it up is that you're facilitating an empathy circle with people who are not familiar with the practice. So even that we've had some familiarity in order to get here, proceed as if they're not familiar with the practice. So the first participant is going to facilitate and introduce the how-to practice. Going to explain what's going to come next in the empathy circle process. Setting the topic. So it could be, what are your thoughts and concerns about being an empathy circle facilitator? And per usual, you could speak to whatever is alive for you. As a facilitator, you're going to be monitoring the time. We're going to have 3-minute exchanges. The facilitator, whoever volunteers to go first, will be the first listener. And then we'll end with a feedback debrief, where you'll get some wonderful feedback about how you performed. Then we'll move on to the next facilitator and so on. And I'm going to be what we're now calling the grand facilitator. I'll just be looking at the overall time. And at the end, we'll have a short group debrief in addition to the debriefs that follow your performance. Okay, is that clear?
Yeah, I'll add that we have an hour and a half for this section. So there's one grand facilitator, that's the current term Ralph just coined, and they'll be facilitating the room, keeping track, and then there's three people will be doing mini empathy circles, and you'll have about half an hour for each person, including the debrief. And let's see, Dwayne, it turned out we didn't need an extra facilitator, so you'll be a participant with Linda facilitating the room. And I think, and then 10 minutes before the end, I'll send out a notice, just they will come back and debrief. And I think that's it. And then, so we're off to our rooms, and the trainers, yeah, you'll be the grand facilitators in your room. And here
Edwin,
yeah.
Edwin, did you want the trainer to do the room or the trainee to do the room? And I just wanted to make sure I'm clear on that.
Oh, yeah, it's the trainers, and Linda and Ralph is second level trainees will be facilitating. So Ralph will facilitate, Linda will facilitate their rooms, and then it'll be the trainers. Yeah.
Thank you.
So, and you'll be facilitating your room. Okay, yeah, we're right on schedule. Here we go. See you in your rooms, and there we go. Okay, hopefully Claire should be moving to a different room. 7. There we go. Okay, it's the 4 of us. So you'll each have about 30 minutes for your sections. And Trevor, any chance you could get more light, like face the window? It's kind of a little hard to see you. If you're, oh, there you go. If you get closer to the camera, then it's it's a little bit light behind you. I don't know if there's any.
Yeah, I may try to close the blinds to see if
Okay,
that helps.
yeah, that would help. So great. So here, as maybe Linda or Jeremy can go first. So just give the how-to, introduce an empathy circle, how-to. This is like, and you're in a circle where nobody knows anything, right? So you're explaining to us we don't know what's, about an empathy circle. You're explaining it, and then you're facilitating it on the question of what are your thoughts and concerns about being an empathy circle facilitator. You'll have about, the first person will have about 20, almost 25 minutes, and then I'll pause you and we'll get some debrief. That looks better. Thanks, Trevor. So since Trevor, since this is your first time here, we'll let you go last so you can just sort of observe. So yeah, Linda or Jeremy, if you'd like to start.
Sure, I guess I could go first.
Oh, let me just say one thing.
Hello, everybody. I hope you're having a
Let me just
beautiful
say
morning.
one thing. This is the weight room. So if people drop out of the call, they'll be coming back through here. So it'll be a little bit of a challenge. So I just want to give you that heads up. So I'm also like doing all that stuff in the background. So yeah.
No worries.
Carry on.
Thank you for that. So hello, everybody. Hope you're having a good morning. I'm Jeremy. So today we're going to be doing an empathy circle. Empathy circles tend to revolve around 2 to 6 participants. 4 is usually a good number for kind of balancing out the time. It's a really, really simple process to kind of build a culture of empathy and really just facilitate active listening and build those skills. So what we're going to be doing involves basically 3 roles. Very simple. There's the active listener, the person who's actively speaking, and everyone else as a silent listener. So I guess a good way to explain this would be for me to just do an example. Let's say I was the active listener, and Linda, maybe you were the active speaker. You would basically have 5 minutes to basically speak about the topic at hand. What are your thoughts and concerns about being an empathy circle facilitator, or just whatever is alive for you, whatever you're feeling is important to you right now. And you would kind of speak in short little segments, and I would just reflect back to you and fully hear what you're saying, with no judgments, no opinions, just fully reflecting what you said. And we would just go back and forth doing that for about 5 minutes. I'll be keeping the time. And then when your time is up, I'll put up this paper towel that doesn't say stop on it, but if it did, that's what it would say, or something of the same nature to kind of indicate that you could finish your last thought. And then at that time, whoever is the active listener, me, would become the active speaker, and I would pick a new listener to continue the process. And while we're going through this back and forth, everyone else in the room would essentially be a silent listener who still has a very, very important role to play in just actively acknowledging and paying attention to everything the speaker is saying. And we would just go about doing this a few times and hopefully get deeper and deeper into the process as we go. I want to just say that it doesn't really matter if you're perfect. None of us are perfect. Sometimes we're going to forget things when we reflect. Sometimes we're going to maybe say a little bit too much about what's on our mind. And it's okay to ask for clarification if you're speaking, and it's okay if you're listening to also ask for clarification from the speaker. It's all about the process and just supporting each other. So yeah, I'm going to keep time, and I guess we can get things going. Cool. I'll be the first listener. Does anyone want to speak? Linda, would you like to speak first?
We're doing 3-minute turns.
Cool. Okay, I got that going.
Sure. Love to. Hi, Jeremy. I think we're in the same town. I'm in Berkeley too, right? So the question of what are your thoughts or concerns about being an Empathy Circle facilitator, or what is alive for me? Well, I'll just say about the what is alive for me. I'm in a particularly I've had a lot going on in my life lately with a lot of different issues, and right now my dad's pretty sick, and so I've been on the phone and a lot to my folks in Ohio, where we don't have any family there to help them, and starting some new projects with my nonprofit, Transition Berkeley. So it's been a really busy period, and it's been a challenge for me to feel like be able to be in this actually in this training on Monday morning I'm finding that challenging.
Okay, so I'm hearing that you're kind of speaking about what's been alive for you, and it's particularly been that life has been a bit hard and busy for you recently, especially with I think your dad being a little bit sick, and you've been on the phone with your parents in Ohio, where you don't really have any other extended family, and you've also been very caught up with this and busy with this new projects you're doing for your nonprofit Transition Berkeley, and so overall it's just been rather challenging for you to kind of be here in these Monday morning trainings.
I feel heard. Thank you. And then I guess the second part I'll address is, what are my concerns about being a Empathy Circle facilitator is like, I'm feeling like challenged right now with just focusing on being really present. And after listening and watching you start off, I'm feeling somewhat intimidated because it feels like you're really prepared and you're doing a great job so far. And I'm feeling a little like concerned about being able to articulate as well as you have in doing this first round of facilitation. Okay, so I'm hearing that in terms of like the thoughts, concerns about this becoming a facilitator, you're feeling a little bit intimidated that I did a pretty good job articulating the process in this first round, and you're just kind of a little bit unsure about your ability to do the same. Is that it? Is there anything else? I feel fully heard. Okay. Thank you. I want to make one point real quick that I should have said in the beginning. That was also great on time, like amazing on time. That if I interrupt you guys at any point, to maybe if Linda did a great job speaking in short stints that I could reflect back, but if someone's going along for a little bit too long and it's hard for the listener to reflect back, I might pause just to like try to stop you so that we can kind of keep the process going. And yeah, I think that was about all I had to say. So I guess I'll be the speaker now. Does anyone want to listen to me? Okay, thank you, Edwin. Let me set this timer, 3 minutes. Yeah, so I guess one of my thoughts and concerns about being a facilitator, it's funny that Linda said that because I was super nervous about doing that, but I didn't do a ton of preparation. I feel like I've been talking about it with a lot of people, like just trying to not market the whole process, but just trying to get people to join my climate focused empathy circles. And that's why I felt a little bit more comfortable doing this. I'll pause there. Yeah, so you haven't been doing a lot of practice. It's just that you've been trying to get others involved in this. So that's been a bit of practice, and that's kind of helped you to prepare. Yeah. The climate action group, trying to get them involved. And so. Yeah, I kind of explain the empathy circle to them in a way that would encourage them to join. And I feel like that is literally what the how-to part is. I also feel like I was still nervous, but I've been trying, at least recently in my life, to when I'm feeling scared about something or nervous, like speaking or taking a cold shower or whatever it is, I just try to like dive right into my fear and take control of it rather than it taking control of me. So that's been a fun thing to work on.
So you were feeling some nervousness or anxiety, but you've been trying to just face your fears and dive into it and take a cold shower or whatever, just to kind of address it and face it. And you're enjoying that process of facing the fears.
Yeah, totally. Thank you. And yeah, so I'd say that was kind of my process going into this group. I was also a little bit intimidated because I know Edwin has so much experience, but it's almost nice to be in a group with someone who does have so much experience. And I don't know, I feel like we're all just kind of learning as we go. So I'm not really that concerned about messing up. I feel like this is a very like safe space to just grow. So I'm really happy to be in that kind of space.
Yeah, you're glad to be in this space because you feel like it's a space to just grow. And you felt a little intimidated by me being here, but you're just going with it and see it's a safe space to learn and grow.
Totally. Yeah. And I would say like outside of that, my concerns about being a facilitator, just nice to kind of start the week. It definitely takes a lot of time early in the week, but I think having that time, putting that time into something that's important to you right when you start the week, at least for me, just gives me a lot of momentum to just keep going and do other things in my life. So for me, it's a great way to start my week.
You actually find this starting with this training is a good way for you to start the week. It's kind of giving you, it's something you value as well as it gives you momentum for the rest of your week.
Yeah, thank you. I feel fully heard, and that's exactly time.
Okay, speak to Trevor. Yeah, when you've got a lot of things going, a lot of balls in the air, it does cause stress. It's hard to, it inhibits the presence, right? Because you got all these things that you're thinking about, and this takes a lot of presence.
So you have a lot of things going on, and in the function of having a lot of things going on, one of the drawbacks is presence, a lack of presence.
Yeah, so I guess I'm just saying it in general terms because I was hearing from Linda, right? Oh, I got all this stuff going, and when you have all that going, I mean, I have a lot going on too, and it's like, like right now I'm tracking all the rooms, and that's kind of taking some of my presence. I'm running for Congress, and I'm doing all this stuff, and that's taking. I got a stack of stuff to do, so all that stuff kind of chips away at the sense of presence, which is needed here to really to listen to someone. You got to be really present to do that.
Yeah. So what I hear you say is that to be a part of the training itself is to be present. And when you have a lot going on, it's difficult sometimes to be present because life happens, and the things that you have going on in your life can chip away at that presence that's needed.
But I also find that by doing the empathy circle, it kind of brings my presence to the group, and I start becoming more present, as time goes on. And so I find it very good for developing and sort of getting into a state of deeper presence too, because you can share whatever's alive for you. If you have any anxieties or fear, you kind of share those, and that kind of helps bring you to the present too, I find.
So the empathy group offers you opportunity to kind of bring that presence back. So it gives you an opportunity to be present again, and not only maybe participating in the topic, but giving you an opportunity to share what's alive with you and what's happening in your.
Yeah, what's alive for me is I'm getting signatures for running for Congress. I got all these signatures that to sign up. I need 60, and I have like 70 now. I'm going to get some more. So I was standing out at the grocery store, say, hey, will you, sign my, my petition thing to get on the ballot. So that was kind of fun. I enjoy kind of connecting with people out there. So anyway, just kind of celebrating getting those signatures.
So you had an opportunity to, one of your what's alive for you is the Congress, running for Congress, and you had an opportunity to do a fun activity, which is to go out and get signatures. And you've gotten more, but that activity itself was exciting for you and fun. So.
Yeah, I feel fully heard. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. I also wanted to make one more comment that I forgot to make at the beginning. Trevor did an amazing job reflecting back to Edwin, but if there's any kind of loss in translation or difficulty reflecting, I might just butt in general just to make sure that we're all like sticking with the process. But you did an incredible job, Trevor. So, yeah. So now it's your choice. Your turn to become the speaker.
And Linda, would you be my listener?
Absolutely. I'm here.
So as I got an opportunity to be here this morning, I'm really excited about learning the process of becoming an empathy facilitator.
So as you got the opportunity to be here today, you're now excited to learn about how to be an empathy facilitator as well.
I guess some of my anxiety or concern lies with how it meshes with my task of the research, because I was interested in the Empathy Circle before that. So I have some anxiety around that connection.
So it sounds like you have some anxiety on how this work, how this Empathy Circle work may be incorporated into the research that you're doing.
And I guess a few things that comes to mind when I think about how it would be presented and accepted in the setting in which I am planning to do empathy circles.
So you do have some concern about how well the empathy circles would be accepted in the current work that you're doing or settings that you're doing.
Or what I'm planning, where I'm planning to do the empathy circles.
Or where you will be doing the empathy circles, how they will be received.
So I work at a behavioral health hospital, and my hope is to do empathy circles around the staff to increase empathy.
Okay, so I heard you say that you work at a behavioral health hospital and you would like to bring the empathy circles to the staff there.
Yeah, so I worry around the issue of cooperation, how many people would want to participate, explaining the process and being able to get it right.
So you have concern around how many people might want to actually do it, how much cooperation you would have around operating or facilitating these empathy circles, and how you would be in actually explaining the process.
I was a little bummed because I invited a couple other colleagues to help out, and they were supposed to be joining today, but life happens, and so I have one other, so I'm excited that she's here, but the others were not able to join today.
So I'm hearing that you have some disappointment that several of your other colleagues were planning to be here, and you hoped that they would be here, but only one. It sounds like only one of the several colleagues is here today.
Yeah.
Red time moment. Do you feel fully?
I feel fully heard. Thank you so much.
So are we starting this again, Edwin, or are we switching roles at this point?
You still got one more. We still have 4 minutes, so you could go ahead, select someone.
Okay, I will. Let's see. I had Jeremy already. I'll have Trevor. Trevor, would you be my listener?
I would be happy to.
Okay. Yeah, it's interesting. What I'm feeling what's present for me right now is just like sort of like on again, off again nervousness. And I'm trying really hard. Like I find that when I tense up and I'm trying really hard to listen, that I'm not listening as well.
So what I hear you say is, what I hear you say is what is present for you now is, do you feel some nervousness in kind of the process of listening? And it seems like when you're trying to listen, it is more, it's a little more difficult for you to listen when you try hard to listen.
I think it's, yes, I think it's this performance pressure. So it's yeah, it's like me sometimes feeling self-conscious and feeling like I'm being judged right now about how well I'm doing. And if I could stop doing that, you know, if I can just let go of that, it feels easier. It's sort of, I'm having this kind of back and forth, feeling self-conscious and then kind of not.
So what I hear you say, do you believe that is related to kind of that performance pressure, and you have internal dialogue going back and forth, and also related to the feeling of being judged?
Yes, I feel fully heard.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Okay, then we can jump into the feedback. Jeremy, how was that for you, the facilitation? How was your experience?
Yeah, it went pretty smoothly. I think that I definitely wanted to say those 2 clarifications that I mentioned later on in the beginning, just about like interrupting people so they would feel more comfortable. That did come up, but didn't. So it wasn't really a big deal. Definitely the only thing I was kind of like trying to like negotiate was when to like, let's say like this said stop, like when to put this up or something, like at the end, or just like during their last kind of like towards the end of their 3 minutes, because I didn't really want to interrupt them. So advice about that, I'd be interested.
Okay. So anyone want to give feedback? How did Jeremy do? What was your experience of his facilitation? Linda?
I felt like you did a really wonderful job, Jeremy, of both explaining the process and kind of keeping track of time, which I think can be difficult, and then adding things in as it felt appropriate. You know, maybe saying those things in the beginning would be better, but you know, we're all learning. I think you did a really good job.
Trevor, you want to give any feedback? Or did he freeze? Oh, he dropped out. Looks like his connection froze. Hopefully he'll come back. Yeah, so my feedback is you're very calm. It seems very calm, grounded, you know, have this deep sense of presence and, you know, casual. So it's kind of a pleasure, you know, to be in the circle with you. One sort of tip is, you know, you pause twice, you know, to give advice. One thing I try to do, like the first time you gave advice, it was actually your turn to be the speaker. And what I try to do is give the advice as the speaker and get a reflection on that. So you're kind of like staying within the process. And then sometimes I'll hold the other advice until it's my turn to speak, so that we're trying to stay within the process. Because if you kind of step out of it, it's like, oh, that's the facilitator power, you know, kind of issue, and trying to stay within the process as much as possible to keep that feeling. So that was the only thing. Otherwise, that went very smoothly. Yeah, I guess that's about it for me.
Thanks, that's great advice. I'm definitely gonna do that. But for the stopping people thing, would you normally like?
Oh, that's right.
What would you say about that? I feel like you have a good input.
Oh, for stopping people. which part was that? I mean, with putting up the sign, at what point do you do it
Yeah.
right at the 3-minute mark, or you kind of pause a little bit? Yeah, I kind of see if it's like something that they're like really in the middle of something really important, you know, I'll kind of like wait a, you know, a little bit extra and then hold this up, you know, not to be too disruptive. So it's like not, I don't, it's like at the 3-minute mark, you know, this goes up, but I'm really trying to do kind of, you know, get it pretty close to it, but I might kind of pause a little bit depending on the situation. Yeah, you kind of get a feel for it.
Great, thank you.
Trevor, did you wait? You were about to give. You were giving feedback, right? And then you, or are you there? Oh, this connection seems to be freezing. You there, Trevor? Okay, looks like he's frozen. You will be back. Any thoughts on that about the holding up the sign, Linda? Do you want to give?
Yeah, I think that's a challenge for me too, is interrupting, but yeah, just hold it up. Just have a sign ready to hold up when it's appropriate.
I'll just add that I've done circles where it's like people in conflict and they're there taking time. They're like watching the time because they want to get their fair share. And if you start giving a little bit more time to someone, even if they're like, you know, kind of in distress, people pick up on it and say, hey, this is not fair. So I do try to be, you know, pretty close to the, you know, to the actual time. So, okay, I guess we can move to Linda. Do you want to take your half hour?
Yes, I would be happy to. So welcome everybody to the Empathy Circle. My name is Linda Curry and I'm here from Berkeley, California. This is a process where it's a process where each person will have equal time to listen and also be heard. And it's a fairly simple process. So it kind of works like this, where the first person selects who they will speak to, and then that person speaks really about whatever comes up for them. In this case, today, we're talking about what our concerns and thoughts are around being an empathy circle facilitator, but you can also speak about what's alive for you currently. And then it will be a set time. Today, we're going to allow for 3 minutes per speaker and listener. And in that time, the person who's speaking will share some thoughts and keep it maybe a short segment of thoughts. So share a thought, and then the listener will reflect back. So let's see, then, and then it will be the listener's turn to select who they would like to speak to, and for that new listener to reflect back on what they're hearing. So everyone in the circle will be, their role will be to listen as each person's speaking and listening. So they'll be like observing and listening to the process. So I have a couple signs too. If when the time is up, I'll be holding up a sign like this, or close to when the time is up, so you can finish your thought and continue. And then sometimes it's easy to go on and on as you're speaking, and if you talk too long, then it's difficult for the person who's doing the reflective listening to be able to capture what you're saying. So I may hold up this sign that says pause. Remember to pause. So we'll start out where I will pick someone who I will listen to. That person will be the first speaker. And so this will be the demonstration. So let's see, Trevor, would you like to be the first speaker and I will listen?
Sure.
Okay, go ahead. whatever's alive for you, or any concerns you have about being a facilitator.
I think when I think about, I reflect on being a facilitator and have some experience facilitating groups, group training. The one that comes to mind the most is getting the process right.
Okay, so what I heard you say is you do have some experience being a facilitator, and kind of what's coming up for you right now is doing the process correctly or doing it right.
Yes. My current role and my current job, empathy is expected. And I think when you're placed in terms of helping to develop empathy, you want to be able to bring it in an empathetic fashion and have it as a safe environment.
It's a little, you're breaking up a little bit in terms of my hearing. So I think what I heard you say, talk about, was that your role currently, your job it involves empathy and something about having a safe environment or safe space to allow for that process to occur.
Yeah, so working for state government, it's sometimes difficult. I've come to realize it's sometimes difficult to create that safe space for staff.
So okay, sorry.
No, sorry, go ahead.
So you work for state government, and in that setting, it can be difficult to create a safe space for the staff.
And so I think that would probably be my biggest challenge, because I believe that the empathy circle should be a safe space.
So you see this as possibly your biggest challenge, because you feel like to facilitate the empathy circles, it's necessary to have a safe space.
Yeah.
You have more time.
I think another thought that I have in terms of me facilitating it is that power dynamic that might be perceived.
Okay, so a challenge that you see in facilitating the circles is related to power dynamic in terms of operating the circle, being the facilitator.
And not so much power dynamic in terms of the actual supervisor versus staff, but the perception of it and how that can impact people being open and sharing.
So it's not so much the actual power dynamic of supervisor and staff, but it's the perceived difference there, the perceived difference in the how that operates, how that works.
Yeah.
We're at time.
And so,
sorry.
I guess finishing the thought is that.
Yeah, finish your thought.
In speaking with Edwin, I realized that may not have a greater impact or effect as I was thinking. So that would be great.
So in thinking about what Edwin spoke about, you realize that may not necessarily have as big of an impact as you perceive or had thought it would be.
Yes, thank you. I feel fully heard.
Thank you. So now, let's see, now you will pick someone to, wait, I'm sorry, I'm getting lost in the process. So let's see. I listen to you. Now I speak to, how about Jeremy?
Sure. Sounds good.
So Jeremy, I'm finding this is very interesting being the facilitator and trying to do the timer and thinking about what has to happen next.
I'm hearing that you're finding it very interesting, being in the role of facilitator, having keep the time and plan out what's going to happen next in the process.
Yes. And just in general, I'm struggling this morning, honestly, with the load that's kind of at my feet.
So in general, I'm hearing that you're just kind of struggling with the workload that's at your feet, or that's kind of on your mind.
It's not just physical work, but it's actual, like, the emotional people that I'm finding myself having to support right now. It's a lot more than just my dad, actually.
Okay, so I'm hearing that it's not just the physical work that you have to do, but it's the emotional kind of work, the burden. It's just people that you have to feel like you have to support, and it's beyond just your dad.
Yes, I feel fully heard. But I'm really excited to actually be doing the facilitation, actually, diving into this process and actually getting to meet you and Trevor.
Great. So I'm hearing that you're still very, very excited to be in the role of a facilitator, and being able to kind of go through this process and get to meet Trevor and myself.
Yes, I feel fully heard. I'm also excited to be able to bring this process into my own life in a more real way, into my family life, and into the community work that I do.
Okay, so I'm hearing that you're also very excited to bring this process into your own life in a deeper way, and into your family life, I believe you said, and the community work that you also do.
I feel fully heard, and I think I'm at time. So,
awesome. Edwin, would you like to listen to me?
Yep, listening.
Thanks. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like every time I do these circles, almost always with like new people, save for a few times. And I always relate like so much with everybody.
So when you're doing these circles with new people, you really relate to what everyone is saying.
Yeah, and it's just kind of like a surprise, because you just forget. Like you come into the circle and you realize how everyone's kind of going through the same things in different ways, and we kind of have this common human experience. But then you go out of it and you go and get distracted by life, and then you come back and you're like, oh wait, we're all the same.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when you're in the circle, you kind of see that common experience, common humanity, and you really sense that. Then you go out into your daily life and maybe have less of that sense of that type of connection.
Yeah, and I really wanted to just, what Trevor said about the power dynamic was something that I also had a big concern about in doing empathy circles on my campus, because I'm trying to not just do them between students, but trying to facilitate them between faculty and students, and with different social and power dynamics that seem very, very hard to negotiate. So I totally resonate with Trevor, and I'm glad that I'm not the only person worried about that.
Mm-hmm. So you have some concerns about the power dynamics, and appreciating Trevor bringing it up, because you're not the only one sort of thinking about it, because you're trying to do that within the school system, within the university there, with different power dynamics, and trying to bring people together there with dealing with that. So some concerns about how you're going to navigate that.
Totally, yeah. And I think that it's kind of nice to see how the process kind of allows for some basic, I guess, it like helps a little bit, and kind of just overcoming that challenge. I don't think that I don't need to do much more other than just stick to the process and maybe keep it confidential and respectful, and I think it'll work itself out.
Yeah, so you're saying that you can just stick with the process, keep the process confidential, and it'll work. Those power dynamics will sort of work themselves out.
Yeah, and I guess the last thing I'd probably say is that I'm excited to do those circles with people. My school is so hierarchical, and it would just be beautiful to break down some of those barriers and hierarchies. And I'm just so excited to actually continue to do that and like hopefully continue to spread that beyond when I graduate, so that more people can continue that work too.
Yeah, so I'm hearing some excitement about addressing those power dynamics, and especially in the university, which is very hierarchical, as well as taking that beyond university afterwards too.
Yeah, I'd say one clarification, because maybe I just talk in circles, is that I wanted to continue once I graduate. Of course, I'm going to continue it myself.
Oh,
yeah.
You want to set something up at the university that's self-sustaining and continues after you leave.
Yes, thank you. I feel fully heard.
Okay.
That was perfect timing. Thank you.
And I'll give it a second. I think Trevor was.
So Edwin's, it's your turn now to pick someone to listen to you.
Okay. Trevor, are you with us now? We have two Trevors to choose from.
Yes, I am here.
Okay.
I switched off my computer.
Oh, great. There you are. Okay. So I'll speak to you. And yeah, this whole power dynamics. I mean, that's like we could have a whole empathy circle just on what's the relationship of the empathy circle and power. I think would be a really good topic just to go into depth on that.
You believe, what I hear you say is that you believe that the conversation around empathy circle and power is going to be, it's a really interesting discussion to have.
Yeah, and to have empathy circle just to explore it for several hours, let's have really like a deep dive into the nature of empathy circles and power. I think would be a lot of fun. Write up something too about that.
To have some kind of exploratory study regarding kind of empathy circle and power dynamics, probably over several hours, would be something exciting to have.
Yeah, because I think the empathy circle really equalizes power dynamics, because large part of power is I have the power, I don't need to listen to you, or really hear you. And that's a big part of, or I'm concerned you have the power and you won't listen to me. But in the empathy circle, everyone gets heard to their satisfaction. So it really equalizes the power dynamics.
So what I hear you say, one of the functionalities of empathy circle in itself, it equalizes that power dynamics where everyone feels heard. Unlike outside of that environment, it may be where if you are the authority figure, you have a choice whether you want to listen or not. But with the empathy circle, it is where the function of it is to feel heard, everyone feel heard and listened to.
Yeah, and I imagine like in an organization that if you did a lot of empathy circles, with the management as well as, the general staff, that it would create, the staff would know that if I'm not being heard in this environment, when we go to the empathy circle, I'll be able to be heard. And that would sort of shift the dynamics that, maybe in an emergency, everybody's got to just follow the rules, the person that's doing the leading, but that you have time to really feel heard and kind of work out issues. So I think it would really help an organization to be doing regular empathy circles, because it would give the staff a sense of that they'll get heard at some point. They'll have a space to get heard. It won't just kind of build up frustrations. Yeah.
You believe that the empathy circle in itself would give staff, and especially in the environment like this, give staff an opportunity to feel heard. And if not feeling heard in one setting, they can come to an empathy circle and have that opportunity where they know for sure that they will be heard. And so
I feel fully heard. That's my time too.
That's time. Very good. So now it's your turn, Trevor, to pick someone to listen to you.
I'm gonna pick Jeremy. Would you mind being my listener?
I would love to.
So I think the opportunity to be here is always good, to feel that you're being heard and being listened to is so valuable.
So I'm hearing that for you, just the opportunity to be here is so, it's good. It's just so valuable to be able to be heard, to be fully heard.
Yeah, I think in the therapeutic environment, when you're kind of on the clinician side, it's where you listen a lot. You listen to the clients, listen to the patients so much that there may not be an opportunity to actually share and be heard.
Great. So I'm hearing that, especially in the therapeutic environment, for clinicians, they spend so much time, actively like trying to listen to the client, and in doing so, they don't really have the opportunity to be heard themselves.
And I think just working in the behavioral health field, healthcare field, it can be so difficult because it's not. It may not so much be manual labor, but it's so much mental labor that you put it out.
I'm hearing that, especially working in the behavioral health field where you work, it can be really overwhelming or just exhausting to, not in the physical labor sense or manual labor sense, but in a mental labor sense. You're putting in a lot of just work mentally.
Yeah, and I think I would love to be able to bring this tool, I think the Empathy Circle offers folks an opportunity to not only feel heard, but a chance to find some relief.
Okay, so I'm hearing that you'd love the opportunity to kind of provide people I believe working in your field, this opportunity not only to be heard, but also to experience some relief from the work.
And I fully am behind the motivation and the goal and the vision of kind of the empathy circle in terms of bringing empathy to the world, because it makes the world a better place.
Okay, so I'm hearing that you're fully behind just the values, the motivation, the vision of the Empathy Circle, because and bringing it to the world and building this culture, it'll make the world a better place.
Yes, thank you. I feel fully heard.
Awesome.
That's it.
So I still have
I think we have 3 minutes for you to do.
Cool. Okay. Linda, would you like to be my listener?
Certainly, yes.
Thanks. Yeah, I don't know. I think what Trevor said about behavioral health and therapy and all that, I want to be a therapist. So I feel like not only do I want to just build empathy in my life and become better with my family and friends and, work on it on my campus around like environmental and social topics, but I just want to become a better active listener. So I understand that like the skill that I need to work on, this is a great way for me to get there. But I also just do want to be heard. So I think I'm getting the win-win by being here.
So what I think I heard you say, Jeremy, is that you see this this empathy training and circle as a way for you to work in many aspects of your life, both personal, and on campus and in your goal of becoming a therapist?
Yeah, and especially this point about being heard too. I think that I want to work on those skills, but I also not even just the therapeutic work I'm interested in, but just when it comes to my true passion is around the emotional experience of the climate crisis and how that affects people and their lives and how we communicate about it and collaborate. And that is really stressful work to be doing, like Trevor was saying, as some people in that field are like struggling and need relief. I feel like this is a great outlet for me to kind of get some relief from my stress and anxiety. I also go to therapy, but this is like an informal version of therapy for me almost.
So it sounds like you see this as being a really useful tool in the work you want to do around anxiety and the climate crisis, and and that not only could it really help other people, but you see it as a way of helping yourself being heard, aside from the therapy that you're doing.
Yeah, and I think it's almost more powerful just to be talking to normal people, and we're all kind of just kind of picking up on this process, and we really are just in a genuine way building this culture. I think that's beautiful. And I don't know, I'm just really concerned about burnout, and I think that as an activist or anyone in their life, it's really easy not to take the time to take care of yourself, to do the work that you want, to stay in the fight longer. And so this is a great reminder for me to just pause, and just make sure I'm good. Because even in order to do the empathy circle or facilitate it, like you guys said, we have to first be grounded before we can even get into the process. So, yeah.
So some of the things that you really like about the empathy circle is that it's easy to access, and it's a more casual setting than doing like formal therapy, and it also has this ability to connect people directly in community, and that you're really also concerned about burnout, and you see this as a way of addressing that issue as well.
Yeah, thank you. I feel fully heard.
Thank you. And with that, I think we're at time. So
yeah, so we can do a debrief now. How was that, facilitating that, Linda?
It got a little easier. I felt I didn't feel like I had prepared enough to set up the I didn't have my elevator. I didn't feel like I had worked on my language for how to speak about it in the beginning. But as the process, went through, then it became a little bit more comfortable, as it, kind of has a life of its own as you go, as people understand it. So.
Okay. Want some feedback from participants? Ready for that? Jeremy, do you want to?
Yeah, I think you did a great job, especially explaining in the beginning, like everything. I felt like even just comparing, that's not about comparing, but I felt like yours was even more, you covered things that I forgot to mention, especially about like everyone having an equal chance to be heard and to speak and to listen. I thought that was a great point to bring up. And I don't know, I think you did an incredible job at introducing it. And the only weird thing that I thought that just confused me, I don't even think this is a problem at all, is like you said you were fully heard a couple times, and I was like, oh, is she done talking? And then maybe if someone was learning the process, they wouldn't know when to say they're fully heard. But again, I don't think that's like a problem at all. I don't even think it matters, but it got me confused for like 1 minute or 1 second.
Trevor?
I think you did really well. I really enjoyed your sign, your pause and stuff. That was really helpful because then I got a sense of when to kind of stop my thought or put my thoughts together. Just watching and learning it, I think was really good. Thank you.
Yeah, and I'll add, you're an experienced facilitator. It shows. It's like it's just like integrated into you. So it just felt very smooth to me, even if you're feeling you're anxious or whatever, it doesn't, show just your experience. And yeah, that one point where you said, I feel fully heard, usually we save that for the transition, that it's the next person. So Jerry might have thought, oh, it's my, turn to be the turns to have taken. So I just say, yeah, that's it. Or I feel heard, but then I feel fully heard is that step.
So thank you for that distinction, because I wasn't clear about that. And that's something I didn't include in my description at the beginning of how you let the listener know that you feel heard. So it's you feel heard, and then at the end, you feel fully heard.
Right. I mean, that's just a convention, right? It's like you can kind of do anything you want, but that's just kind of a convention we've been using. So great. Is it okay we take a 3-minute bio break and come back, just stretch, and then we'll come back for Trevor?
Okay.
I'm in the middle of, is it quick? Is it something quick? I have 3 minutes. Oh, okay. Okay, so we get started. I think that was about 3 minutes. Maybe Jeremy will pop in. You there, Jeremy?
Let me know when you want me to start.
Yeah, well, let's start. Hopefully you'll pop in. We want to keep it going.
Awesome. Welcome everyone to the Empathy Circle. This is the first one out of a couple of sessions that we'll be having. As we talk about the Empathy Circle, it is a place where that we want to make safe, and it's a place where we all want to feel heard and listened to. And there's a couple roles that I'm going to explain. The first is going to be the facilitator, and that person is going to be the one who is going to be introducing the topic, but also the one who is going to make sure that the process is flowing well. At times, the facilitator may interrupt to help bring us back on back into the process. Because we want to kind of follow the fidelity and follow kind of how we do it well, because the way it works really well. The second one, the second function of second role I want to talk about is the timekeeper. And the timekeeper may actually be the facilitator, but it may also be someone else that we ask to kind of check the time to make sure that we're on task and that we're completing and everyone has the time that's needed to share and to be listened to. And so for this particular session, we'll go for 3 minutes. And I would be the facilitator and the timekeeper for now. And as we go on into our sessions, then we will, that role might be shared among everyone else. Any questions so far? Awesome. The next role that I'm going to talk about is the active listener. And this is the person who would be reflecting on the person who is speaking. And I would love for at the end of the person sharing and you hearing as a listener to ask the speaker if they feel heard. All right. So that question, do you feel fully heard? I would love the active listener to request or to ask that of the speaker. Now, of course, as the active speaker, that's the other role that we're going to talk about, is a person who is sharing, right? And that person, as they're sharing, I want them to want to either address the topic that we're going to talk about or whatever is alive to them. And whatever is alive to them is whatever is present in your heart, whatever you feel like sharing. All right. And any questions so far? So we talked about the active listener, we talked about the active speaker, we talked about the facilitator, and we talked about the timekeeper. All right. And so as we go through the process, my hope is that this would be a safe community. So all 4 of us are going to be meeting over the next couple of weeks, and whatever remains here, whatever is spoken about here should remain here. All right.
I have a question. So when each person is speaking, do we just talk for however much time is allotted, the 3 or 5 minutes?
That's an awesome question. So we want to remember that someone is listening to us and that we want them to reflect on what you're speaking. And so you want to create enough time to share thoughts, but pause between those thoughts so that the active listener can reflect on what's speaking. Thank you for that question.
Great. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for clarifying.
Any other questions? So I am going to give, I'm going to ask Edwin to start as being the active speaker. And I'm going to ask him to choose someone to be an active listener. All right.
Okay, I'll choose you, Trevor.
Awesome. I would love to be your active listener.
Yeah, so in terms of the empathy circle being a safe space, what I say, it's a brave space, in the sense that anyone can say whatever they want. They can say, you're an idiot, you know, and the reflection is, okay, I hear you say I'm an idiot. Is there more? So it's like, but that reflection and that listening kind of turns it into sort of it creates a sense of safety, at least for me. So I guess I just want to add that.
So what I hear you say, it's that the empathy circle goes beyond just being a safe space. It goes to be a brave space where folks can share whatever is on their mind, whether it's an idiot or whatever it is. But as an active listener, you reflect back on what the person is saying without any judgment.
Yeah, because we use the empathy circle for mediation. So just bring any conflict, like if you have a family conflict or friends or enemies or a work environment, bring the participants into an empathy circle. They're really mad at each other. They hate each other, and have them do the empathy circle. And it slowly, you know, they can slowly work out. It creates a container for them to work out their conflict, but there can be some real, you know, strong emotions come up. So I guess I'm wanting to say that it's not like, it's not Pollyanna, like, oh, we're all going to be loving here. It's all going to be all, you know, positive, safe and everything. That it is a brave space to come in and be able to face that.
So so what I hear you say is that the empathy circle in itself is a container that can hold a lot. It can hold conflict, it can hold tension, it can hold disagreement. It is a space where it's not expected that everyone have the same kumbaya.
Exactly.
Paraphrasing here. But it is a space where people can feel heard.
And I feel safe when I can know that I'll be heard. So for me, the safety comes knowing that whatever happens, however stuff people throw at me, that I'm going to reflect it, but then it'll be my turn to be heard. And that creates a lot of safety for me. Yeah. But there might be a lot of other, you know, tough stuff that comes up, but that does create a sense of safety for me.
So what I hear you say is that your sense of safety in the empathy circle itself comes not only from you hearing and reflecting stuff, but having the opportunity to actually share your stuff as well. And that in itself creates your sense of safety.
Yeah, I feel fully heard. Thanks.
And I'm going to ask Jeremy to hear me.
I'm here.
And I'm going to check on the time. And so being the timekeeper, of course, I would show my phone, and that would be a sense that you should bring things to conclusion.
Okay, so I'm hearing that in your role as a timekeeper and facilitator, if you show, you know, your phone up to the screen, that would kind of be an indication to whoever's speaking that they should kind of wrap up their thought.
And I get the same sense as Linda was saying, that it's like you're juggling so much as a facilitator and as the timekeeper and sharing. It is a lot to juggle.
So I'm hearing that you kind of get the same sense of, as Linda had when she was facilitating, of you're kind of juggling a lot of different responsibilities while also kind of being a part of the the circle, and it can be a lot to deal with at once.
And even I, in being an active listener, totally forgot to say, did you feel fully heard?
Yes, I'm hearing that even you in your role as the facilitator and active listener, you forgot to let Edwin know that, ask him if he was fully heard.
And I guess I reflect back on that to say that I didn't feel any judgment with that. So not feeling done, not feeling judged is I think really valuable.
Okay, so in your reflection of that experience, you didn't feel judged or any judgment from the group, and that right there was just a very valuable part of the process for you.
Yeah. I feel fully heard.
Awesome. I was going to ask you, do you feel fully heard? But
yes, I feel fully.
Great. Linda, would you like to be my listener?
Yes.
Cool. Thank you. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like someone made a comment in the main group about how like the training could be too long. It's like 2.5 hour chunk, but not even commenting on that, but just more on the fact that like sitting and doing anything for 2.5 hours is often hard in this world of distractions that we live in. You know, it's hard to just sit and do one thing. But I really have enjoyed kind of how the training has been broken up, and even in these little empathy circles, they've been broken up into little, the speaker speaks for 3 minutes, and I feel like time goes by really fast in these little groups.
Yeah, so Jeremy, what I'm hearing you say is reflecting on a comment from the beginning of this session, somebody saying how the sessions are long, 2.5 hours seems like a long time, especially in our world where there's so much distraction and so much going on. But you've enjoyed the pace of the group and how everyone gets a chance, 3 minutes, and that it's very clear, and that I'm losing my train of thought here about what you said. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I can quickly clarify because you got like 99% of it. It was just like this idea of breaking it down, like the big chunk into smaller chunks. And I almost feel like at the end of a lot of these empathy circles, we want more. Almost always we want more time. Like it isn't like an issue of like, oh, like this took too long. It's almost like, wow, like that was I want more of this experience, which is a great feeling to come out of it with.
So rather than what sounds like a long period of 2.5 hours, breaking it down into these chunks, and time just goes by really fast. And it turns out that, by the end of it for you, you feel like, and you think other people feel like they wish they had more time.
Yeah, totally. And that just makes me think about like how I can do more empathy circles, or I can just kind of continue this kind of, I guess culture is a good word for it, like in just my day-to-day life, even if it's not formally in an empathy circle. And also just the idea of we're all really stressed out. I feel like I've heard all of us kind of talk about how work can be very overwhelming, or life, but just this idea of breaking the big chunk into the smaller digestible chunks is something I'm always trying to do to overcome like life challenges.
So even though like you heard all of us say that we're really busy, and this can be challenging to make the time for this, that breaking it down into smaller chunks is one way, and you see how you could use this in other places in your life, kind of going forward by doing that and doing this work in various forms.
Totally, yeah. And I think that I'm like I love what Edwin said in the beginning about presence of mind. And I feel like we're all trying to constantly get back to the moment. We're getting pulled into the past and the future and so on. And I don't know, I feel like just taking the time to like fully be here is just a great way to practice that presence of mind that I'm constantly trying to work on. And it's really easy, even when someone's listening and they're speaking, and say I'm the silent listener, to just get distracted and think about what I have to do next. But it's nice to be able to return back to that person and just give them my full attention.
So Jeremy, you really took to heart what Edwin was talking about in terms of having, you know, presence of mind in doing the empathy circles and not letting other, you know, thoughts and distractions come into it, past or present. And that, yeah, just doing this really does bring you into the present moment. And even when you're just the active listener, you find that it can be easy to be distracted, but you're finding a way to focus your attention on the process.
Yeah, I'd say like my last thought would be that I couldn't think of anything more important in my life, or a few things that are more important than just being present in the moment and for other people. And so what a great way to just do that. So I'm really grateful. I just want to say that, affirm that I'm very grateful for this.
So it sounds like you can't think of anything more important than doing this work right now in your life, and you feel a lot of gratitude for having this opportunity.
Especially, sorry. I don't want to interrupt you, but just being there for other people and like actually doing that instead of talking about it. We all say we're there for each other, but like being there is like the thing, you know?
So we can talk about being there, but this is really this process for you is about really being here now, being present now, and how powerful that is.
Yeah, thank you. I feel fully heard.
Okay, I would like to have Edwin.
Listening.
So a lot of things are coming up for me. I'm always thinking about how I can make new connections that can further my personal growth and the work I want to do in the world. And this is one of them.
So a lot's coming up for you, and one of them is you're looking at how you can develop your personal growth, and this is one of those ways of doing it.
My personal growth and the work that I want to do in the world.
Oh, okay. So it's your personal growth and the work in the world, and this is one of them.
Yes. So in that regard, I'm thinking about Jeremy and that we live in the same town, and that I've known Edwin for a while, and Edwin helped a group that I'm part of called Mobilize Berkeley with an ongoing project that we've been doing called Community Climate Healing Circles.
So you're thinking about Jeremy and sharing that, we'd work together on the climate circles and the healing circles. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, and so Jeremy, I'm thinking about Jeremy and what the work that he's interested in around the climate crisis and climate anxiety, and I'm also really much involved in those things. And personally, I have a lot of climate anxiety. I do climate work and I do community building work. And I'm just trying to figure out how to help myself, but to help a lot of people that I work with who also experience feelings about anxiety around.
So you're seeing some similarity there with Jeremy doing his work around climate and the anxiety around that, because you're addressing that as well personally, and also wanting to see how you can support people around that topic, around those feelings.
So maybe Jeremy, post circle, we can talk, offline about how we might collaborate or support each other in the work that we're both doing, and perhaps we could even join forces.
So you're thinking perhaps you could join forces and collaborate, because you're like in the same city, in the same place, and you have the same kind of issue that you're working on.
I feel fully heard. Thank you.
Okay, great. Then I guess we'll pause there. We'll have a little bit of time at the end just to have a group debrief. Trevor, how was that?
For me, this has been the first time doing it. I thought I kind of left out some things, some important things. I try to get it almost into my my teacher role, kind of, because I teach also. I was trying to kind of like bring the group together first and kind of get that rapport going. But for me, I think I left out a couple of things that I would, if I was to do it again, I probably would be mindful of it. So.
Okay, you ready for some feedback?
Yeah.
Linda, do you want to go? Just what's your experience?
Yeah, sure. Well, Trevor, you just have a natural, I can tell that you're a teacher and a facilitator. You have a real natural warmth about you and welcome presence about you. So that's a real bonus. I actually, I'll just be honest, I had my cheat sheet, the PDF of the Empathy Circle process, so I could kind of glance at that and see what things to include. So maybe, touching back with looking at the videos, or there's a PDF that talks about the process. The things that were left out were like about pausing, and what were, there were a couple other things too that I'm not remembering right now because I didn't write it down, but I did really appreciate that you made room for questions, and that's something I didn't do. So I made a note for myself to remember to stop and ask if there's questions, because sometimes those questions will bring up the things that you missed. So, but overall, I thought you did a great job.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Yeah, I just want to say I agree. I really feel the same way that Linda felt. I think you have a very comforting just energy. It's like very like grounded, and just like it was very easy just to kind of like reflect back and just be like kind of like go along for the ride with you. Like I didn't feel like any like, oh, like what's going on at all. So that was nice. I missed the first maybe like 30 seconds because I was running back into the room. But yeah, I feel like I didn't really see the other things that you missed besides the pausing point. And I love how you corrected yourself later about the do you feel fully heard thing. I really feel like that made, like you missing that, I really feel like that made me feel like it's okay to be not perfect in my part in the process. And I think that normalizing that is really important. And overall, just your intention and like and sharing that like you want the space to be, even though Edwin said brave would be a better way to go about it, I still like really like the way that you said you want it to be a safe space where we can all be kind of like acknowledged and just supported. I don't know, that made me feel good. Yeah, I think you did a great job.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah, what great feedback. Wow. So yeah, I'll second everything everyone else said. There is this one-page PDF. It's always good. What I do is ideally is give a copy to everyone so they have it, so they know the rules, and I can just kind of read through it. And also I'll show this is for everyone actually, I'll show the how-to video, as well. So there's a lot of things to kind of prepare people. So that's always something handy to have, because then you can just tick off the points. It needs to be, I think, expanded to we don't have the facilitator role there. And one thing is I forget stuff all the time, kind of like sharing it, but somehow you get into the process and it doesn't matter. You kind of clean it up. And you did that where you added something, but you did it within the process, right? You shared it, and then Jeremy gave you a reflection on it. And I think that works really well. In terms of the volunteers, in terms of who's going to be the first speaker, I usually give people a chance to volunteer. It's like, I think maybe Linda too, or somebody else also say, oh, would you be the first? But I tend to say, yeah, who wants to be first? And then and sometimes there's this, pause, nobody wants to jump in. I just kind of wait, and somebody usually will jump in eventually, and then at least they can go when they're ready. Let's see. Oh, I would suggest like the phone. You held up the phone once for Jeremy, and I'm not even sure he really saw it, because if you're intense speaking to someone, and he kind of went on, like a couple of minutes after, and then you were sort of timid, not like holding up the phone again. It's like I would have, kind of have a big, talk softly and carry a big sign. So it's like time, so that they can really see it. So I do, yeah, that was one thing. And having a sign is a little bit easier, and Linda had that sign too, for remember to pause. That's a good sign to have too. Nobody, spoke too long, but those are just a couple of tips. Yeah, so that's otherwise, I mean, you're a teacher, all of you are really excellent, it's like deeply embedded facilitators, just natural. So it's kind of a pleasure to be in this group with all of your lovely energy. So we have about 2 minutes. Is there any kind of questions, general questions or comments or anything about facilitation?
Well, so everybody was really a great speaker too, and broke their speaking down into, bite-sized chunks so that it was easy to reflect back. But I've noticed, like when I've been in other groups, that sometimes people just go on and on. And I don't know, I don't know. That I think that could be challenging. Also, if they're angry, like we haven't seen this because everyone here is like, they're not like doing the thing that Edwin talked about where people are really coming in with a lot of heat. That feels kind of scary to me to be dealing with any kind of upset. So any tips?
Yeah, that's what we're doing. The challenges, the next 2 sessions are going to be with challenges. So you can ask for some of those. You can say, hey, I'll take a challenge of somebody really angry, so you can kind of practice that. And I just find that keeping people in the process, if somebody's like, I got to speak, I'm really angry. I say, oh, I hear you're really angry and you're really wanting to speak, but can we just we'll just stay within the process, and we want to hear what you have to say, but just when it's your turn, and you can say anything you would like, and then try to bring them back into the process, and just hold the process, and it usually usually works. I've had times where people just will not do it. One with my family, sister-in-law, and she just didn't want to do it. And I said, okay, I'm here to do this process. You don't want to do it, so I'm leaving. And I was ready to cut off like I'm not talking to you anymore. And she said, okay, I'll do it. So I had or you can just kick them out. So if they're like, I'm not going to do the process anymore. So we agreed to do this process. And if you don't want to do it, then you shouldn't be here, because that was the agreement. We did have an agreement coming in here to stay within the process. So, and if you're not wanting to do it, you can leave. So, yeah. So with that, I'm going to close the rooms. Any last other question or comment before everybody pops in?
Not really a question, but Linda, I'm definitely down to connect after this, either like via email or something. We can sort that out, because I'm always looking for more people who are like in that like mindset.
And if you want to move it into the campaign, we need volunteers, so we can do, maybe there's something we can do around the campaign too, because it's CD 8, which is El Cerrito, Richmond, north to Fairfield too. I don't know if there's something around climate change we could do. Just put it out there. Okay, 9 seconds before he even comes back. Well, thanks to everyone in my group.
Okay, and oops.
Okay, welcome back, everyone. I think Dwayne was going to be leading this part, or calling on folks.
Okay.
I'd like to welcome everyone back, and now each of us can take about a minute to share our experience, our insight into the Empathy Circle Facilitation Training process today. You have you're going to get about a minute. There's 2 questions you could reflect on with your time. First is based on today's learning, how was your experience? And the second is, what is the one thing that you are most excited to practice before the next session? So I'm gonna call on everyone, and this is my first time doing this thing, so I'm gonna go based on how you're appearing on my screen. And first person up on my screen is Linda.
Hi. So could you just repeat what the question or what you want us to reflect on?
Sure. Based on today's learning, how was your experience? And the other thing is there, one thing that you learned today that you're excited to go back and practice before the next training session?
Yeah, the experience was very powerful, and also it gives me a big appreciation for you and the other people that are trained facilitators, and how you're able to manage it in a way, the groups in a way that just feels comfortable and open and not distracting for the participants. It's challenging being a facilitator. So I really appreciate the work that you all have done. And I'm going to be practicing the next week, just speaking about how the groups work. That part of explaining the group, and I'm going to try to do a group just in my neighborhood or with my friends, and try the facilitation again. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Jeremy, you're next.
Yeah, so I was in a group with Linda, Edwin, and Trevor. It was, as always, very gratifying. I felt like it really was valuable to spend some time trying to figure out how to best explain the how-to, the empathy circle, the feedback, and going through different people being facilitators. I feel like every round we learned something new about how to be better at that. So yeah, I wrote down all sorts of different things about how to do so. I'm not even gonna get into all of them, but I guess notably just explain it as a brave space, trying to kind of explain in the beginning how you might interrupt if someone is maybe off a little bit with their reflections, or if there's the speaker is going on a bit too long. So we talked about stuff like that. And I felt like in terms of strengths and potential challenges, I feel like everyone in our group just had a very natural, calming, kind of grounding, just sensibility that made it very comfortable just to be a part of the process. And so I think we all had that strength in it. I really was drawn into the process because of the way that people went about facilitating beyond just following the rules. So I thought that was all wonderful. And I'm excited to do some empathy circles this week. That'd be great.
Thank you, Jeremy. Trevor, you're next. Hello, Trevor?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Great, yeah. I was with Linda, Edwin, and Jeremy, and that again was a really good experience. Different from just facilitating, and I thought the process and how it was kind of set up that we practice was really good. I got to see my mates kind of their own unique way of sharing and kind of learn from it. And so it was really good. Thank you.
Thank you, Trevor. Kara, you're up next.
I had a fantastic time with my group. Thank you, everyone. What I took from this experience is to slow down, make sure I have my little cheater script. And I'm very much looking forward to practicing that because I made some tweaks to it and I want to get it down into an even flow.
Thank you, Kara. Karen, you're up next.
Yes, that was really interesting, and many things were resonating with what I'm feeling, and particularly about the importance of the words that we are choosing. That's really important to have positive words, because that can change maybe the atmosphere between the participants as well, and that can bring some beauty and some love in the space as well. So, and I'm feeling more confident than I was 2 years ago as well. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Karen. Marian, you're next.
Yes. So being a newbie, I'm the one not confident enough. And as usual, when I stress, and then I blank, or I forget things, or I'm like, the stress is taking control over me. But I was doing the exercise with Dorothy, Anne, and Valerie, and they were so kind that I felt comfy. So that helped me a lot throughout the exercise. And as Dorothy said, we didn't see Valerie. She didn't have the show, the image on the video on, but we could feel like she was there. So yeah, it was really warm and nice. The feedbacks helped a lot, and there were positive ones, so that made me a little more confident. I know that nobody's perfect and I can make mistakes, but even knowing that, then I excuse myself a lot, but then I want to stop that feeling so excusing myself. Oh, I tried. Thank you.
Thank you, Marian. Dorothy.
So yes, very positive experience. It was nice to be able to hear and to see other people interpret the process, because it's always refreshing. It's learning, and how then to integrate the process and to own it so that it becomes from an authentic space. So for me, it was a bit clumsy today. And so one of the things that I know I'll be working on is integrating it so that it comes from an authentic, not worry so much about all the rules, and just relax into the process. And the group really helped me get that, feel relaxed enough so I could finally really enjoy myself and not worry so much about if I get something is wrong. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Dorothy. Catherine?
Hi, yeah, I really appreciate the opportunity to be kind of thrown in to do this today. I felt like, I guess what carried me through was really drawing on the experiences of coming into the empathy cafes as a beginner and still a beginner, and remembering how safe and how much I learned about myself and about just empathy just from those sessions, and really believing in the process and being able to draw on that. And I definitely have a long way to go in really being able to relate the process and do the process and play all the roles. And so it's a good underscore why practice is so important here. Because I really don't want to get into a situation where it's a difficult group, because everyone here is so amazing and patient. Celine is an incredibly patient person. So I really want to practice a lot more is really what this is underscoring for me.
Thank you, Catherine. Mitch, you're next.
Okay. Well, I appreciated the opportunity today. I was a little bit not quite at ease going into this. The facilitators and the people in the rooms make it look easy. It isn't quite as easy as it looks, but I did learn a lot in trying to facilitate or in facilitating today. And the group that I was with was extremely friendly. They made it easy. They provided good examples. It was a very good experience for me. And in the coming week, I intend to keep practicing being empathic. Thank you.
Thank you, Mitch. Claire, you're next.
So, wow, yeah, today just feels like we're already facilitating. My goodness, you know, being thrown into it. It was again a great process, and you know, and we did share to some good depths. You know, it's always something that I really do appreciate. So I feel that what I'd like to really focus on moving forward is to try to really own this process and to make sure that I am creating that safe space where things flow, where people feel comfortable to go on and to share.
Thank you, Claire. Aaron, you're next.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, to be honest with you, I came onto the group feeling really rubbish and in pain. And I started sort of self-pitying while we were doing the intro, going like, oh, I don't want to be here. I don't want to do this. And I even organized potentially like leaving the group, but I wasn't quick enough in organizing that. And then I got put in the breakout room, and then I realized there was only 4 of us. And then I was like, oh, well, I can't leave now. And that was sort of a bit of a battle at the beginning. And I'm still in pain, to be honest. And I feel pretty rubbish in my body, but my heart feels nourished. And it was a really good experience, and I learned a lot. And I connected with Catherine, Celine, and Tracy, who are lovely people. And so I feel better for it. And I'm glad I was slow at organizing leaving. One of the things that I took away from it was being a little bit, it's making it more of a hard habit to suggest a positive rather than identifying a negative. I think that could benefit my life in many ways, as well as being an empathy circle facilitator. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Aaron. Faith, you're next.
Yes, this was a great experience for me. I was in a group of great people. Learned a lot from observing their facilitation. And one thing that came to mind was that we're all so different. But again, I think what makes this work is the process, you know, that we all come with we have different styles. So one of the things I'd like to continue to practice is the introduction in the beginning, to just try to cover all bases, specifically the role of the facilitator as regards to intervening if there's a need to clarify or to clarify what the process is, etc. To remember to include that in my description of what the empathy circle is all about and my role in the whole process as a facilitator. Everyone was awesome in my group. Andrea, Claire, and Ralph was a great head or lead facilitator, for want of a better word. So thank you all.
Thank you, Faith. Elizabeth, you're next.
I was also in a group with 3 others. I found it very useful, helpful. I feel almost exactly as Dorothy did. The first thing that impressed me was how differently each of us interpreted the role of facilitator, even though the rules were the same. You know, some people were very casual, some people were very detailed, some people were really friendly and inviting in their explanation. I was really thankful that Bill was so attentive and helpful as our trainer, because he pointed out that we really need to do the role playing and become active that way in order to practice this. It's not enough to just know cognitively the rules. You have to go out and do it. And that's what I hope to do by next week, is to go out and facilitate. I also have to learn to chew gum and walk at the same time, because I could not keep time and facilitate. So thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Alexandra, you're next.
Hi. So yeah, I thought this experience was very humbling. And I've learned a lot throughout what an empathy circle, the benefits of it. And I think within our space, especially Lou had us at was our trainer, sorry. He was very insightful, gave us open feedback and some criticism. So I know for me personally, I need to work on giving more detail in my intro. I was very precise and I didn't give too much detail into what empathy is and the benefits of empathy. So I definitely do want to work on that. So I thought that was pretty cool. But overall, the experience was really great. Lots of safe space and vulnerabilities were shown.
Thank you, Alexandra. Andrea, you're next.
Yeah, I was thinking that we had a great time in ours. It was, I mean, there were some difficult things that we were dealing with, but it was safe, and we managed to be lighthearted. And I think it's such a pleasure to have 4 people. You know, I can as a school teacher, I always like small groups because I want everyone to, you know, as a teacher, I want everyone to have the best. But in this situation, you know, we're all getting the best and helping other people to in this natural process.
Thank you, Andrea. And for the third name that begins with an A in a row, Arlene, you're next.
First of all, I was included in a wonderful, wonderful group with Alex and Hannah, and especially Lou. You are unbelievable, Lou. In any event, I just wanted to say I'm not here to be a facilitator, but to learn about empathy. And by watching you, the other 2 that are training, was amazing. And even though you're just studying and learning, you did a beautiful job. And so I was very happy to be in that group, and I thank you.
Thank you, Arlene. Hannah, you're next.
Yes, I was in the same group with Arlene, and I totally agree that we had a really beautiful circle, and it was a really great experience, and I'm really grateful for that. Overall, it was a really good experience. I think going forward, I will work on becoming more concentrated. I think I found it, the main challenge for me was probably getting distracted. So I will work on that, and also grounding myself before facilitating so that I can sort of manage my nerves a bit. Thank you.
Thank you, Hannah. And I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly, Swoon.
Yeah. One is how it's pronounced. I just wanted to say, I guess, hope you can hear me. My internet's been going in and out, but yeah, it was a good experience being able to go over issues with being a facilitator. I really like being able to, you know, go over issues and things about that. And I liked the small, intimate atmosphere, and also being able to watch people and their approaches. And I am going, like somebody said, I think the facilitator makes it, the trainers, they made it look like it's so easy, but I guess I'd like to get to that point where I can make it look easy. And I have to say that, yes, I would like to get to that point, to have that, be able to hold the space for people like that, and to explore how to hold that space is one thing that I really think is a very skillful thing to do. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Swan. And Ruth, you're up next.
Yeah, just turn my video off so it got more chance of being heard. Yeah, I was in Swan's group and I agree. It was a very nice, small, safe space to practice. Yeah. Yeah, and I found it kind of very respectful. We all had different things going on, my internet and other things. But though we had very short time, we kind of made time for the important things. And yeah, that was kind of thanks to Bill, who was overseeing the whole thing. Yeah, I don't know about strengths that I noticed in myself yet, but I suppose I'm interested in what people have got to say, and I really enjoy reflecting back, and I enjoy the appreciation. Yeah, I'm not going to be here next week, so I hope I don't miss too much. I'm really sorry, something that I planned ages ago. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Ruth. Isa? Hello, Isa, are you there? Okay, I'll come back to Isa. Tracy?
Thank you. Great positive learning experience. It was great learning from the others in my group, and thank you for them allowing me to go last. I get up actually 5 minutes before this call, and I think I struggled with being able to be the first listener. And I think I might get up 10 minutes before the call, and that might help me to move around a little bit. And another thing that I'll do before next week is to create a cheat sheet, like Cara said, with just the bullet points. I think that'll help me to be very orderly and structured. But I feel great. It's like, wasn't perfect, but this is why we're here to practice. And yeah, I'm complete. Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy. Valerie?
Hi, so I just wanted to say that I'm really thankful for the fact that in addition to why we're here to learn how to facilitate empathy training circles, that we exercise empathy. Sometimes I think we can forget the whole being empathic thing in the middle of what we have to do on our agenda of things to do. And so I'm thankful that that was maintained with special thanks to Anne, our facilitator, our trainer. And for the rest of it, I think I'm just gonna need time to reflect. So I think it was a really good process just to get clear everything that needs to be taken care of in terms of the instructions. And really just how to incorporate that while maintaining empathy, I think is a special exercise. So thank you.
Thank you, Valerie. Altonia?
Yes. It was a good experience practicing being a trainer. Larry was very patient. Sorry. Larry was very patient. And I was up Mitch and Issa. Oh, they just did such wonderful jobs. Mitch has a way with helping you feel at ease. And he had the whole space being very calming. So although everybody has different ways, I've heard a few people talk about this, how people have different ways of facilitating. You know, they state the information differently, but it's really for me anyway, it's really nice to see people just being themselves in the process and not trying to like fit into a mold, so to speak, but everyone just being themselves, being authentically them, facilitating.
Thank you, Altonia. And Issa, are you there?
You're muted, Issa Brown. There you go.
Yes. So for me, yes. So for me, I'm happy that I was in the session. I really felt very much seen and heard. I think it was very good for all of us to practice and feel supported by each other. I think being in the same situation connected us, supporting each other, like facilitating. So I felt commonality with everyone and a strong connection also with everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Issa. And I think I covered everyone. And Celine, I think you're up next.
You're muted, Celine.
Sorry. So yes, I'm going to wrap this session up. This was number 2. Next week, what we did today was to introduce the Empathy Circle process with an opportunity for you to facilitate a short empathy circle and then get feedback and debrief. And next week will be session 3 and we'll be practicing again. And you will have an opportunity to ask for some challenges from your facilitator if you want. And that will be something like somebody interrupts or a listener tries to give advice, things like that. And if you don't feel ready, that's perfectly all right. Your trainer will not give you more challenges than you have asked for. So for assignments, we're going to send out an email. We ask you to please fill out the session feedback survey, and the link will be in the chat for that. And I think also in the email, hold an empathy buddy call. You'll be paired up with a new empathy buddy. So to the best of your ability, have that call. And if you can, facilitate an empathy circle with family or friends or neighbors. I used to talk to neighbors, I don't know anymore. And for now, we are going to post one feeling that you have now as a result of being here today in the chat. And then we will close with jazz hands.
Turn on your camera if you can, so we get a portrait of everyone just for a second.
Okay.
Okay, ready for, everybody's camera on soon. Let's get everybody. Valerie, if you can, just for a second. There we go, yay. So see you next week. Thanks, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Facilitators,
Thank
stay
you.
back, yay.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, and thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye.
Everybody.
Feel better, Aaron.
Bye.